Welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show, where your journey to empowerment takes center stage. I'm your host, Tarryn Reeves, best-selling author and publishing expert. Together, we'll dive into the hearts and minds of visionaries, disruptors, and trailblazing leaders to explore the most compelling and thought-provoking ideas in life, business, and marketing. Let's inspire, impact, and ignite. This is the Tarryn Reeves Show. Today's episode, I am joined by Julie Ulstrup, who is the go-to business strategist and coach for experienced mission-driven leaders who want to start or grow a profitable business so they can have more time and money freedom. With a lifetime spent perfecting the art of clarity, she helps high-level clients double their income using their passion and purpose. Julie, welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here and to connect with you and your audience.
Our absolute pleasure. Now tell me, clarity is often this thing that people talk about, but I feel like few people understand it. What does clarity mean to you, and how has that become a central part of your work with mission-driven leaders?
So I just feel like clarity is, like you said, it's something that seems so hard to find and hard to reach. And so what I do is I work with my clients to really find their clarity in what they want, their purpose, their passion, and how they want their life and their business to look. Because those two things, sometimes we think they don't go together. But if we're purpose and passion driven humans, then they absolutely do go together. So we start with values. We work within a framework that I've got that's got, in fact, thousands of years of proven processes that I've worked on as in my career as an educator. So that's it from a big 10,000 foot view.
Right. So you said that you were an educator before. Is that in a schooling system over there?
Yes. I was a school counselor for middle school and high school students. I also worked at the university level, building and growing programs for students who were in high school to graduate level students, law school, PhD, medical school. Yeah, so I've had a great career as an educator and moved into entrepreneurship and coaching as my second act.
Amazing. I love that. Do you know who you should connect with? There is an amazing two women who are in the States in the LA area. Diane Wentworth, who is the co-founder of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and she runs a program called Second Act Entrepreneurs. And I love what she does. I think she's in her 80s now, but she is an unstoppable force. I love that woman.
Okay,
So
I
yeah,
love
go and
this.
check her out. But I am curious, moving from teaching, counseling, teaching, holding space in a middle school setting and even at the university level, and then moving into entrepreneurship as your second act.
Yeah.
What was that journey like for you? What prompted it to suddenly go, oh, hey, this is what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to teach mission-driven leaders about clarity and building their businesses. How did that happen? And what was your family's response to that?
So my journey, there was some of the push and some of the pull. There's this purpose and passion driven people. I was in a school system that I loved. I had a great community, worked with great students, and it became not a great community anymore. It became a place where there was a lot of toxic behavior, a lot of certain people can do this and certain people can do that. And that just was
Yes.
not conducive for me as a person who has always tried to embrace and empower everybody to live in their highest version and vision of themselves. So there was that. And there was also this pull from entrepreneurship. I started my entrepreneurial journey as a photographer. And I got really clear about who I wanted to work with and who I wanted to support. And I grew my business within 3 years. I doubled my salary, I doubled my income as an educator with 25 years experience and a master's degree. So I took all of those practical pieces of building a business, as well as my 25-year counseling experience and a master's degree in school counseling, and I brought that together to create this coaching program that has a combination of proven processes and success strategies to really help people become and first see the highest vision of themselves.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important as an entrepreneur because I know when I first started out, it was just, oh, I need to make money and I want to do it from home because I now have a baby. So I'll just start doing stuff. And it was kind of like trying to
Yeah.
drive a car without a roadmap and not knowing where you're going. And so the clarity piece is really important. It's like that book by Simon Sinek, the power of why. Start with why. And it's why. Why are you doing this? What do you want to achieve? What's the purpose? What's the goal? Because and who are you serving? All of that clarity sets a solid foundation for a business. And you cannot grow a business if you don't have a solid foundation. I speak from experience.
100%. Yeah. Having mission, vision, and values, and making sure that those are aligned with who we are and who we're becoming and who we want to be in the world.
And I love what you just said there, like who we are becoming, because I feel like once you've been in business for a while, I think I'm in my 8th year of business now, and I'm a completely different person. I think I've undergone 3 rebrands. I've actually shut down 2 businesses and merged them all into one. I think it's okay to grow and evolve your business and rebrand your business and things like that as you as a person and a business evolve, because if you don't do that and and the energy stays stuck in that old version of you, I feel like it doesn't work. What's your perception on that?
100%. I agree with you 100%. My business has evolved and grown and expanded as I've evolved and grown and expanded because I
Mm,
feel like that's part of becoming, like I said, becoming the best, highest version of who I am.
yeah. Now, you mentioned that you focus on helping leaders double their income through passion and purpose. Are these leaders at any stage of their business journey, or do you work specifically with startups or scalers or established businesses?
I work with businesses who really are passion and purpose driven. So where they are in their journey isn't necessary, and they're service based businesses. They're people
Yeah.
who are service based. They're not necessarily. It wouldn't be a coffee shop or something like that. A
Mhm.
clothing manufacturer. They're really service based businesses.
And can you tell us how clarity really plays a role in turning that passion into profitable outcomes inside of these service based businesses?
Well, it tells us what to do and what not to do, because
Mm.
when we are aligned with our values, it gives us a very clear direction in what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I was looking at some travel plans for planning for next year. And for me, I'm like, if it's not a hell yes, then we're not doing it. So that's the way it is in business too. And I've gotten to a point in my life and in my business that yes, it has to be a very firm yes to move forward. And that again is based on my mission, my vision, and my values. And I really help people to clarify those because many entrepreneurs, like you've said, that you've started and consolidated businesses, we're multi passionate. And so
Mm.
we have all these passions. When we really distill down to and clarify our values, that makes it easier to make our decisions
Yeah.
and easier to grow.
Yeah, exactly. I love what you said there. Like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. But I do know that that takes courage to do, especially in the entrepreneurial space where there's a bazillion unqualified, most of the time, coaches going, you should do this, you should do that. You've got to post to every platform conceivable. You've got to be at the right time. You've got to be doing reels. You've got to be on YouTube. You've got to run a 5-day challenge. You've got to do a webinar. And it's exhausting. And it often takes courage to go, you know what? It's not a hell yes for me. So it's a no. I'm not doing business that way. What's
Right.
your opinion on the courage that it takes to stay in alignment and follow your own clarity? Because that is often very different to others.
Absolutely. So I love that you use the word courage. And I just talked about this in my community group and we had a conversation about it and I led an exercise on it. So there's a dictionary definition of courage. And then there's the definition that Brene Brown uses, and it's about acting from the heart, coming from the Latin word. I always feel like my big fat Greek wedding, that old movie with Gus
A
Portacala.
good movie.
And it doesn't come from the Greek, it comes from the Latin
Mhm.
courage, comes from the Latin word cur, which is heart. And so
Mm,
courage is an action or a vision or our voice that is coming from our heart.
Yeah.
And so, to answer your question, when we look courageously at what it is that we want, who we serve, how we serve, and what is going to serve the purpose of humanity, that's when it all comes together. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it becomes more clear for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just had the most beautiful memory of it being a kid growing up and watching The Wizard of Oz. And is it the lion who's missing his heart and therefore missing courage?
Yes, it is.
Hey, and that explains why it's the heart that's missing. It's from the Latin word cur, which takes. That's amazing. I love how all the storytelling always ties in together. And I'm such a dork. Like, I love the meaning of words and like sayings. Like, why do we say that? You know? And I'm like, why is that a saying? Where does it come from?
Well, interestingly, I just saw, a few months ago, I just saw Wicked. So good. So
Yeah.
good.
So you went and you saw the musical live?
Yeah, the musical was here in Denver.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I saw it when it came to Sydney and I can see the hype. Like, I'm not a huge Wizard of Oz fan, but I can see the hype in Wicked. It was very, very enjoyable. Now, we talk about this thing in entrepreneurship called the zone of genius. And I feel like finding clarity in this area, in your zone of genius, can lead to a greater income, impact, influence. Do you work with your clients on zone of genius? And how do you teach that? How does one discover their zone of genius?
Yes, I do. And so the zone of genius was made popular, brought to the forefront by Gay Hendricks in his book.
Mm, the
Maybe
big
it's
E.
called Zone of Genius. Well, it was anyway, one of his
Oh,
books. Yeah.
one of his books.
And so, what I use to help people really zone in on their zone of genius is I use the ancient framework from Okinawa called
Oh,
Ikigai. Are you familiar with Ikigai?
I have Ikigai, the book sitting on my coffee table. Yes.
Well, I love Ikigai. And what we do is we really use that as a framework for what is it that you love? What is it the world needs? What are you good at? And what can you be paid for?
Mm.
And interestingly, I'm a Kung Fu student, a student
Oh,
of
wow.
the martial art.
Yeah.
And the practice that I've been studying for the last 10 years comes from Okinawa. So, talking about all of these things coming together, it really has helped me and my clients to get clarity around in the middle of that Venn diagram. For people who are not familiar with Ikigai, that's where our zone of genius lies.
Yeah.
In those four things. And again, it's an ancient practice that has been used for thousands of years by people who live well into their hundreds and lead very happy and productive lives for a
Mm.
very long time. So I love using that as a framework. Of course, it's not only that, but that's the framework that we use.
Amazing. So is that one of the first steps that somebody should do if they feel they are lacking clarity in either, I suppose it doesn't even have to be professional, even their personal life? Clarity goes across all areas, right? So is that where we start? Should we start with Ikigai and those four things? And just run me by those four things again.
So it's what we're good at,
Yep.
what we love,
Yep.
what the world needs,
Mm-hmm.
and what we can get paid for.
Brilliant. And I feel like that would be such a fun brainstorming session to get these four buckets, if you like, and just have a fun time, maybe use different colored pens and really get into it.
I love your think, because yes, I love using colored pens and colored pencils and helping people get clarity in really. I have another very simple process that I use with people about their values, about what would a friend say about you? What are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself? What are 3 words a client would use to describe yourself? And so bringing these things together, and I like the way you said that, Tarryn, is really having some brainstorming around it, doing it in a group, because I know for me that I can go through all of these things in my head and write them down, and then it gets so big that it becomes unwieldy. So that's why I've also got a community that I work with my clients. And
Amazing. And what's the name of your community?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been renamed and reframed. We just
We're
call
regaining clarity on the group name. What
it's
is it today?
yeah, it would be our clarity community within Julie Ulstrup Coaching and Consulting.
Yeah, amazing. Beautiful. And finding clarity isn't an easy journey, and it's something that I feel people would have to do on the regular. How often do you recommend that someone revisit this exercise to refine their clarity or reestablish, reaffirm their clarity, even? How often should we be doing these things?
So I feel like it's an ongoing process. And we talk about it in our community every week. And we go through monthly, we go through our wins. What are our wins for the month? And what are we looking at for the next month?
Yeah.
What is our 1% increase that we're doing every day? And then I've added also, what are we releasing? What's the 1% release? Because we're getting ready here as we're recording this for Thanksgiving in the United States.
That's
And
right.
when we have a big full platter of food and you can't fit one more thing on there, something needs to be taken away.
Yeah.
So we talk about that 1% increase every day. And what are you going to release? What are things that are not important? So really looking at that weekly and in our own practice at home daily, what are we going to do and how are we going to do that? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And how does that align with our vision and our values?
Yeah, I love that. So I'm a big planner, I'm a big strategist. I have like color-coded calendar for every member of the family, and everyone's got their like responsibility checklist. They call me Hitler over here, like as a
Oh
joke.
no.
They love me, but it's like my project management brain. And I like to have processes to follow because I feel like when I don't have those things, I don't do them because I've got, especially as a woman, we have 50 bazillion tabs open in our head at every one time, especially when you've got family, you're running a business. There's all of these things that you've got to project manage. As
Yeah.
horrible as that sounds, you do. You have to project manage your family, you've got to project manage yourself, you've got to project manage the pets and the business and your employees, like all the things. Is there a particular planner or system that you recommend people use so that they can stay on track and they can go, this is what I'm doing today, and making sure that they are getting that 1% better and doing the things that will move them forward?
So what I don't have like a workbook or a planner, I am creating one actually though for my
Exciting.
clients. And who knows, maybe it'll be available soon. And my process in the morning is that I meditate
Mhm.
and I journal. And then I ask myself, I'm really into my intuition at that time. And I'm like, what are the three things that need to be done today? What are the three things to move my business forward, to move my vision forward, to move my dream forward? And I use these cards and I put those three things on the side. And then I write down all the things I use a physical piece of paper and I take my electronic calendar, put it on the card, put all my appointments on there, and then say, okay, where are these three things going to fit? And I do those three things that are going to move the needle forward every single day. So that's 15 things a week,
Yep.
60 things a month, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. That sounds awesome. Now, I see that you have recently done an amazing walk. Can we talk about the walk? Because I'm a huge traveler. I love hiking. Tell me about this walk that you did and how I bet that it's challenged and changed you as a person.
100%. So I am also a big walker and a big hiker. I live in Colorado and there is a lot of opportunity for outdoor activities here. I'm right on the foothills of the Rocky Mountains.
Gorgeous.
And yeah, it's beautiful. And I decided, so this is when I was still working in the school system, that I was going to take a sabbatical. And I did not realize at the time that a sabbatical is based on a religious break, where
Yeah.
you take a break from your whatever you're doing to be able to learn something new. Now, a lot of people think of sabbatical now as a vacation. And it was not a vacation. I was working in a school that had a large Spanish speaking population, a large population of English language learners. And so I applied for a sabbatical to live and go to university in Spain.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was able to do that. There's a university in the town where I live. And so and I knew some Spanish already, and I took classes at the university, and I had a professor from Venezuela, a professor from Spain, and a professor from Mexico who were fabulous. So I lived in Spain for 5 months, and my
Mm.
UP experience was amazing. And I decided I want to do this Camino de Santiago. I want to have this experience. I had learned a little bit about it. My daughter walked it after she graduated from university.
Oh my God.
And
I haven't even heard the story.
oh,
That's so interesting. Go, tell me more.
so I decided I was going to walk on the Camino. And I had this plan, this very robust American plan. that-
I love how you say robust American plan. It's so funny because it's true.
So at the time I was running marathons.
Wow.
And so I had planned a schedule, a very deliberate schedule, that I was going to walk 40 kilometers a day. And I was going to complete the Camino de Santiago, which is about 500 miles. It's the Camino Francés from St. Jean-Pied-de-Port to Compostela de Santiago in 3 weeks. I had a flight back from Madrid to Denver in 3 weeks. And I said, okay, I'm going to walk the 40 kilometers a day, 26 miles a day, and it'll all be good, right? So I had this journey. I got to St. Jean-Pied-de-Port and I start walking. And the first day is a hike over the Pyrenees, which is rugged mountain range. And I still had this vision that I was going to walk 26 miles a day with a huge pack on my back. And I met people from around the world. I had incredible experiences. And after about 3 days, I gave up my overzealous American ambition to walk 26 miles a day, 40 kilometers a day. And I said, I'm going to make this a fat experience instead of a fast experience. It was incredible. One of the most meaningful experiences of my life. And I've given birth to and raised two incredible children. I've traveled many places in the world, and this was next level. It was just remarkable.
And
Yeah.
why was it next level? What specifically about it really touched you?
Well, there was one very specific experience for me that made it this next level experience. And what I think led to this next level experience was every day I would get up and I would have a coffee and I'd walk and I'd take a break and have a snack and I'd walk. It was this very simple, not easy, but a very simple, this is what I'm going to do every single day. And I met people from around the world and we shared stories and we connected. Some of them I'm still connected with today. So having this experience on a walk that has been traveled by pilgrims for thousands of years, it's a spiritual experience, it's a historical experience, it's a cultural experience, it's a physical experience. And one day, after walking about 15 miles, came into a town and stayed in this small albergue. And an albergue is a combination of an Airbnb and a hostel, and it's very unique to the Camino Santiago. And we stopped in this albergue. I was with a friend who I'd met who's from Germany. There was another man from England, a man from Korea, and someplace else. And I was the only person who spoke Spanish and English. And the albergue owner spoke only Spanish. And he said, would you like to have a pilgrim's mass? And I responded for all of us and said yes, because I knew we would.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself an extremely religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but not religious specifically. And so we walked down to this tiny chapel that looked like it was something from my high school geography book. It was small and cold. And we walked inside and we all said the Lord's Prayer in our native language and sat down. And I was hungry and I was tired and I was cold. And I sat on this wooden bench and I let the words just wash over me. And as I was there on this bench, sitting next to my friend from Germany, I hear the most beautiful song in the sweetest voice. And it was Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. I well up
I'm welling up.
when I feel it. Like it's so beautiful. So I hear these words and tears just are streaming down my face. And it was an ugly cry. And like after
Let's be honest, is any cry really attractive? Like, I
no,
think they're all
no,
ugly cries.
but it was a big ugly cry. Let's
It
just
was a
say that.
big relief.
Yeah, big relief. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a big release. And so after the service was over, I went back to the back of the church. I had my camera with me and I took some photographs. And I went to the back. And as we were leaving, I said to my friend Tobias, I said, "Thank you for singing Amazing Grace," because he sings in his church choir at home in Germany. He was like, "I wasn't singing." It's like, and that's an American hymn. And I was like, "But you heard it. You heard Amazing Grace." And he said, "No, nobody." So again, more tears and more tears. And what that was for me is it was a very clear message saying, you know what? Don't play small. Live your life to the fullest. There is so much that you have to offer, and so many people need what you have. Live bigger.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So, those lessons that you learned on the Camino de Santiago, do you bring those lessons and incorporate them into your coaching practice? And what does that look like?
Absolutely, I do. Because it changed who I am. I think some of the pieces, I mean, obviously not everybody has the freedom to go on a 3-week walk across,
Yes.
but the pieces of having a routine, of having a reflection in the morning, having a plan, walking your plan, following on the Camino de Santiago, there are yellow arrows and scallop shells spray painted that are showing the way. So really having those points during the day of reflection and planning. What is today going to look like? It might not be very simple and it might not be very easy. But again, when we distill it down to our values and who we are, it makes the way, which is the Camino is the way, it's the walk. That's kind of what it means in Spanish. So those arrows are pointing us in the direction of our very best life and our dreams.
Amazing. So, as leaders and mission-driven entrepreneurs, I know that we struggle to balance profit with purpose, and that the temptation to maybe sacrifice your soul and make a little bit more money can often be there because we are conditioned from society to earn more and do more and be more. And sometimes that version of success is not in alignment with who we are. How do you help your clients navigate balancing that effectively?
So, what I really see with that is that way of pushing through and not being authentic to who we are. It's going to either cause us to, like you and I have done, expand and grow and shift our business, or we're going to just hit a wall and crash and burn. So we can choose. We can choose what we do. We can choose to say, okay, I'm going to live in my purpose and my passion, because when we're outside of that, that's when we get burned out. That's when we just don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah, 100%. And I think everyone's been at the stage of burnout at some stage in their life, simply through the society that we now live in, which is just crazy if you ask me. And you said something before about every day was simple, but it wasn't easy. And I crave simplicity now. Like, I feel the need for simplicity in my very, like, the fibers of my being. And it's because you're surrounded, or I'm surrounded, and we all are, by this constant go, 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 go. And it's very easy to get sucked into. And I'm like, well, hang on. I just want to live in like this little hippie house and grow my own food and have like chickens and homeschool my kids and write books and teach people to write books. That's my version of success and clarity, right? But it took a while to get there. And
Yeah.
it is a choice. Like you can choose to go after, the big house and the new car and the more income, but it might not be your version of success. So I encourage everyone who's listening and watching to really get that clarity that Julie's spoken so much about. Get the clarity of who you are, what you stand for, what you want, what your future you may want. And then you plan for that. And each day, each action is a choice.
Yeah.
So, and it only takes 3 things a day to move your business forward or even your personal life forward. It doesn't have to be just business, like 3 things a day: drink more water, go for a walk, make your bed, like whatever it is, that's for you. And everyone is unique, and that's the beauty of it. So can you, before we wrap it up, I'd love to hear a success story that you have that where clarity has really helped one of your clients achieve significant growth in their income and their influence.
Yeah. So one of the things that there's so many stories that I have from different people from different areas of my life. I have a client who said that after working with me, her life changed completely. Everything about it changed. She was getting ready to retire. She wasn't feeling good about herself, and everything changed. I have a client who came to me as a portrait client several years ago, and she had all of these stories. She was a counselor. She had all of these stories about when she worked in a COVID unit in a hospital
Oh, wow.
during COVID. And I said, Trish, you should write a book. And she's like, no, I'm not writing a book. Well, 3 years later, she has now written a book. She's been diagnosed with a disease, a life-threatening disease, and she's written a book. And she said, Julie, I wouldn't have done that without you. I would never have. And there are a lot of steps in there. This is a longer story.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have another client who started a business after a very successful, she started a school and grew it from 2 children in her home to a full building in Arizona, and with an award-winning school, preschool through high school. So at like 13 or 14 years of education, award-winning school. So she's done all of this and she wants to start a business. And after we worked together in the 7-week accelerator program, she said, I thought this would take me 2 years to accomplish, getting all of the things done that we had done. And so all of those things are ways that I've worked with people to really, it's this idea of getting really clear and distilling down the values, going really deep so that to make a really wide impact. It's like a tree having very, very roots and creating this beautiful life that is having so much impact, influence, and income for ourselves.
What a beautiful image of the tree, like being deeply rooted and then flourishing out into all the different aspects of your life, because the roots really remain the same because it's who you are at your core. The tree, the leaves and the growth on the tree may change, but who you are at your core remains the same. And once you understand that, once you're aligned with that, everything else can flourish. What a beautiful analogy. There's a brilliant book called If Women Rose Rooted by Dr. Sharon Blackie, off the top of my head. Have you read that?
No, I think I
Oh
need
my
to.
goodness. You have to read that book. That book honestly changed my life. So highly recommend If Women Rose Rooted, speaking of trees. And oh gosh, actually, I'm going to read it again now that we've had this conversation with that image in mind. How beautiful. Now, Julie, we have a tradition on this podcast called the book drop. And we want to know what book has impacted you either professionally or personally. What can you recommend?
So there are 2 that I am loving right now. I am a voracious reader. I love to
Me
read.
too.
And so one is an oldie. I don't know how old, but it's not brand new. It's A Woman's Worth by Marianne Williamson. And there are so many beautiful nuggets in there. One of the quotes from that book is one of her quotes that is, when we let our own light shine, we give others permission to do the same. I just love that.
Me
And
too.
then the other one is they complement each other, but 10x is easier than 2x. And that's by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy. And it's very much this idea of how can we make a 10x influence in our life? And at the core of it, it's distilling down, what are we going to do that is that what are the 10x moves? That clarity, instead of doing all of these things, what are we going to do this very narrow choice of things so that we can get our business or our life to a 10x life?
Amazing. I love that idea. I'm very much a go big or go home kind of girl. So I like the fact that I'm like, well, if I'm going to double it, I may as well 10x it or 20x it.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, an amazing entrepreneur, a little bit cocky, but an amazing entrepreneur. He talks about 10x a lot. He's got his whole business, a part of his business is all about 10x. Julie, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us some more clarity on how we can really deeply root our business and ourselves so that we can flourish and create the life that we want.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Tarryn. It's been such a delight.
That's a wrap on today's episode. If you love the insights and inspiration, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe to stay connected and turn your visions into reality alongside our community of changemakers. I'm Tarryn Reeves. Thank you for joining me. And remember, your story has power. See you in the next episode.